Hi there, my name's Libbey, and today I'm going to show you how to visualize data using RStudio. So right now, to start off, let's take a look at our text file with some of our data. So this I copied and pasted from Excel, and this is some data about different scores on face recognition tests and the demographics of participants. And so I'm hoping that we can visualize this pretty effectively today. So this is just in a text file, and I've named it data.text. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change it into a data frame. So now that we have that here, let's get started. So first we're going to change that into a data frame. So let's go to our R script file. So we're going to name our data frame X. And we're going to tell it where to look, which is the data text file. And then let's take a look and see if we did that right. Okay, great. So here's our data frame, and now R is going to know where exactly to find the information we're telling it to, so we can start plotting now. All right, so now let's create a basic plot and make sure that you have ggplot library open. So we're going to create a basic plot just comparing CFMT scores to FFMT scores. And don't forget to tell it where to look for this data. Let's run that. Oh, great. Okay. So great. Congratulations. You just made your first graph using RStudio. And unfortunately, this isn't as much data as we'd like. We have a ton more here in the data frame. So let's look at different ways to incorporate those. So first off, we're interested in seeing how those who are native English speakers compare to non-English speakers on these two tests. So a great way to show that is faceting. So we're going to create a facet for this graph. And this little squiggle here determines whether or not we do a vertical or a horizontal for these two. Personally, I think that a vertical is going to look a lot better, but it really depends on the graph. So if you put it on the left, it's going to be horizontal, and if you stick that on the right, it's going to be vertical. That's just a good thing to keep in mind, and we're going to do that based on the variable English. And remember that RStudio is case sensitive, so when you're telling it to do something, make sure that you're using the correct first letter. So I did double check that it is in uppercase, so let's run that and see how it looks. Okay, great. So now we have two separate graphs based on English versus non-English speakers. So another way to incorporate more information into your graph is to use color. So now we're going to create a color gradient based on age. So how we're going to do that is we're going to add color to here and then set the variable to age and run that. So now you can see that it's created a gradient on shades of blue, going from younger, darker, to older being a lighter shade. So now we've added all of the data we care to this graph. So now let's focus on some ways we can make it more aesthetically pleasing to look at. So one way to do that is to change the size of the dots we have here on the graph. So we're going to add that to the qplot section. So you're just going to type in size. And interestingly enough, RStudio will allow you to assign a variable to the size, but we don't want to do that today. So the way you cancel that out is to add a capital I. And we're going to set the size of these to 4, just to start out and see how it is. Looking good. It's a little messy. So we're going to now change alpha, and alpha is the transparency of our data points. So again, we're going to add I, and make sure that your alpha value is between 0 and 1, because this correlates to the percentage of transparency. So let's just set it to 0.3 just to start. And that looks really nice, so we're going to leave it like that. So this is looking good, but something that is a bit of a problem still is the stacking of the data points. So a way to cause them to cluster instead of stack is a jitter. So we're going to add jitter right here to the qplot section. And it's called jitter. So let's see how that looks. So here, as you can see, it clusters the data points instead of having them be stacked. So this way it's really easy to see a more common data point instead of just seeing them stacked. It's just better for visualization. So the next thing we're going to do with our graph here is we're going to add a title. So the way we're going to do that is add GG title, and then here in these parentheses we're going to add the title we want to do. So we're going to put face recognition, age, and English, and then make sure that's closed. Run that, and then up here is our title. So one last thing I'd like to do with our graph today is to change the background from gray to white. Although our good friend Tufty thinks that gray is good, I would just, like to show all the things that RStudio can do and change it from gray to black and white. So the way you do that is just say theme BW. And even though we don't have anything to say, the only way it will know how to run it is if we add these parentheses here at the end. So let's run that. And then as you can see, the background is now white instead of gray. So now you should be all set. Just for reference, over here is the graph that we were trying to replicate today, and looks pretty good. So thank you for following along with me, and good luck in the rest of your R journey.